The Riders have been up and down all season long, but they came to play in a big-time way, in a big-time game, with some major games coming up at Saskatchewan. Made a statement on Saturday. Let's talk about it. The Saskatchewan Roughriders have been a little inconsistent at times and been frustrating for the guy who writes about them. Also, I guess this would be a pretty good time to plug that if you want more of my Rider thoughts, check it out over at 3 Down Nation. I've tweeted out the link, posted it on Blue Sky Threads, and it should still be in my Instagram story for a little bit as well, if you want to check that out. So go see a few more of my thoughts on Saskatchewan's performance in that game. But this was about as complete a performance as you can get from Saskatchewan in this game. And I don't even really know where to start. I think defensively, you have to give these guys credit, because that is a really dangerous offense on the other side of the field with Hamilton, with Bo Levi Mitchell, an MLP favorite, leading the league in passing right now. They have weapons that are really, really good. Although, I think we've seen a couple of weeks in a row where Kenny Lawler has been a little bit easier to take out of things than maybe they would like, and that they don't have guys stepping up around him. At least they didn't in this game. They have at some other times as well. I guess I shouldn't really pinpoint that, but it's just been something that's like, it's a couple games now where he hasn't felt like as big of a factor as he did early on in the season. But the big thing on defense, again, for Saskatchewan, is their ability to get to the quarterback. And I guess it's technically a blitz, but they just line up with 5 D linemen across. It's like, yeah, we're coming. And in they go, and it's just havoc. They cause absolute chaos, and they are able to get there without, I guess, a traditional blitz. Like, again, you are sending an extra one, but it's just basically 5 guys lined across, and then a NFL formation behind. So you cover a lot of the holes that are out there. You don't give Bo a whole lot to work with, and he doesn't have time to let things develop because he has a lot of large men running after him very quickly. Carney with the speed rush has been great. I want to say, I haven't been able to work it in. I might just throw it in to a Rider thoughts the next time he does anything. But Shane Ray has got better and better every game he has played, and he has been so fantastic in just being an absolute S-disturber out on the football field. And he has been a game changer, I think, for Saskatchewan. Like some of the other guys have bigger sack numbers, and make bigger impacts. But it feels like this guy is always in the quarterback's face and is always causing some problems. So I just, every week I'm more and more impressed with him. A couple other kind of nerdy things that I noticed in the game. One of the things that people have brought up to me about being frustrated with the Riders, and it's a frustration of mine as well, this defense plays pretty soft coverage. Like, they're not a soft defense. I think they're probably the hardest hitting team in the Canadian Football League. But 2nd and 8, they'll give you at least 6. It feels like they back off. They don't want anything big getting over their head. They are a defense that is going to bend and not break. And we saw it in the first part of this game where they held Hamilton to a couple of field goals there, and I think changed the dynamic of this football game. But they do tend to back off a little bit, but they had a play where it worked, and it's Thurman. It's right after McRae tried to field a punt with his shoulder pad, which has a very low success rate, and so Hamilton has the ball in Saskatchewan, deep in Saskatchewan territory, and so the Riders, it's a bit different defending in that area, but Bo drops back, and Thurman, instead of staying in that regular linebacking zone, he's getting a lot of depth and getting back toward the goal line. And again, you do have a bit of a safety net with the goal line there, but anything in front of him, he is quick enough and good enough that he can read it, break to it, make the tackle. But he's getting deeper and deeper and deeper. And Hamilton on this play, they're not looking underneath on this. They're looking to the end zone. And as he is getting that depth, where it would be frustrating on other plays because, hey, we just gave up 6 yards and we didn't really have to because we just left the middle of the field vacated. In this situation, it closed that window so small. Bo tried to fit it in, overthrew it a little bit, boom, right into the waiting hands of Roland Milligan. And at that point, it was ball game. It was Dunsky after that. So Saskatchewan making a bit of an adjustment there, or at least showing why they do the things that they do in this game. I thought they were great. Another part that I love the receivers stepping up with Myers and with Johnson. I think Emilus, Bain, KSB, Schaefer Baker, would be considered the Riders' best receivers, three best receivers coming into the season, or at least have a very strong case for it. In the top two, for sure, with Emilus and with Bain. And now you can make a case that Myers and Johnson are legitimate number 1 and 2s in this league. They have stepped up in that way. They both have big games. I like the utilization of AJ Ouellette in this one as well. I said in the Rider piece, he is, when they have all the injuries, he's probably their at worst third best offensive player. So just get the ball in his hands a little bit more. This was one of the bigger volume games he had, and I think he helped bail them out in a big time way. But this was another example. When you look at all the other teams in the league, and if everyone plays at their best, who's winning that football game? It is looking more and more like Saskatchewan every week. This is two complete performances where they have dominated, basically pillar to post, and come up with a very, very convincing win against the number 1 and number 2 team in the CFL's East Division. Now, a couple tough tests ahead, because I think if it's not Saskatchewan, it's Calgary for most complete team in Canadian football, and that's who you got next in the Calgary Stampeders. So not an easy task there. And then after that, it's the Labor Day and then Banjo Bowl with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. So you could, if the Riders go over 500 in this next stretch, September and October become a whole lot more comfortable out in the prairies if they're able to get a little bit of space there in that one. So this is a very big stretch coming up here for Saskatchewan. On the Hamilton side, it's a frustrating game. The defense got caught a little bit. They obviously had a game plan of jumping a lot of the underneath stuff, putting pressure on Trevor Harris, forcing him into quick underneath passes, and then undercutting those routes. And it worked really well right up until it didn't, when Moxie just bit hard on a double move, and Myers is gone for a 58-yard score. The thing that I didn't like for Hamilton was kicking the field goals there. And I did what all good writers should do, and I read the comments on the piece that I wrote for the Riders for 3 Down. And someone was saying, because I brought up Hamilton have two trips to the red zone early in the ball game, and they kick field goals in both. And I was saying, look, I get the Riders won by 20, but this felt looking back at it, this feels like a big deal. And they were saying, I don't think 2 extra touchdowns instead of field goals and a few extra points is really going to change all that much when the Riders win by 20. And I understand that, but momentum exists. And if Saskatchewan is down 14-0 and people are still finding their seats, that takes some of the air out of it. And now all of a sudden, Saskatchewan's offensive game plan is a little bit different. And now AJ Ouellette isn't as big of a part of the game plan. And the defense can just pin their ears back and go. It just changes so much. And for Hamilton to have the advantage and then not be able to execute in the red zone was a killer in this game, and something they're going to need to work on going forward. So that was the biggest game of the week in the CFL, and certainly the one that caught, obviously, the most of my attention.